Welcome, Darren, to an episode of The Student Space. Like I ask everyone, start off by telling us who you are and what you wanted to be when you were younger.
Sure, thank you for having me on. It's been hard organizing a time, but I appreciate you taking the effort. So my name is Darren. I'm 19 years old, and I'm currently studying my first year of medicine at Monash University. And what I wanted to be, apparently when I was younger, I wanted to be a gardener. I have no recollection. Yeah, I have no recollection of me saying that, but I've been quoted in a school like magazine saying that. So yeah.
That's so funny. That's a good thing because a lot of people are like, oh, I want to be a doctor or a scientist. But yeah, yours is a gardener, which, you still very can be one if you really wanted to.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, and so this episode, we're going to chat all about how you attained an incredible ATAR. It's actually a perfect score of 99.95. But before we jump into it, let's reflect back to your high school days. Tell me a bit about your high school experience.
My high school experience was pretty good, I think, because I did well and I went to the same high school since I was in prep. I was very involved with the community and I felt really close with everyone there. And so it was a very enjoyable experience. I was close with the teachers. They took care of me as well.
Excellent. And did you do a lot of or you mentioned you got involved in the community. What types of co-curricular or activities did you really get involved in?
So we had compulsory sport, but in particular, I was very involved in like swimming, because I was pretty keen swimmer as a kid and I was pretty involved in the Scotch program. And that was nice as well because in swimming, you have like all the year levels together competing. They don't split you by year levels. And apart from that, I also did public speaking a lot. I did that ever since I was in junior school as well. And then in senior school, I competed for the house and that kind of thing.
Lovely. Okay, and the question that everyone is wondering, you did achieve an incredible ATAR, 99.95. Was this the aim right from the beginning? So did you begin your VCE setting out, yep, I want to get the highest mark possible, I want to attain a perfect score? Or were you aiming for, I don't know, anything over 90 or 95?
I think for me, 99.95 was the aim, because like I was doing well ever since I was a kid. I was dux of the junior school and I'd like do well in the tests they make you do in junior school and all that kind of thing.
Yep.
And sort of like 99.95 was a kind of natural progression of that because you kind of see like the top students in high school getting these scores. So I was like, yeah, that's probably my goal. And I had good subjects and I was doing well in them as well. So that was kind of the goal from the start.
And this leads perfectly to subjects. What subjects did you take? And I assuming that you did some accelerated, so some in year 11. Is that right?
Yeah, I did. So it's a long list. I'm actually not this one. So in year 11, I studied Chinese second language and math methods. And in year 12, I redid math methods. I did English.
Really?
Yeah, I did. A lot of people were surprised and yeah, probably wasn't encouraged that much, but I did
All
end up
right.
redoing methods.
We will talk about that. But anyway, continue your list.
Sure. So year 12, so redid methods. I did English, English language, chemistry, Latin, and yeah, I think no,
Did
I
you
did
do a
one more.
science?
Yeah, chemistry. I think I mentioned
Okay.
it.
Yep.
English. Oh, specialist maths as well.
Wow. Okay. So first, talk me through why did you repeat or want to do methods again?
I think in year 11, and I don't think this was the best thing, but I was pretty like competitive, like a bit too over caring about ATAR because it's sort of your first year introduction to everything.
Of
So I
course.
really wanted to do well and score as high as possible, which is like a 50 in the subjects. And I ended up getting a 46 in methods, which is like decent in hindsight, but I just wasn't that happy with it and I wanted to do it again.
Oh, wow. Can I talk me through when you did it again? Was it, oh, this is easy, I know what I'm doing? Or did you have like a different mentality sitting it for the second time?
I probably didn't put in as much effort as I should have, so I ended up getting the same score. But I think my mentality was like, I'll just try and do a bit better. I think I forgot about it a bit towards the end of the year because of my other subjects. But it was kind of nice because in year 11, you're with a bunch of year 12 kids and you're sort of the youngest group. And then in year 12, I had a bunch of year 11 kids who were really smart. And we had like 550s in the class, which is
Oh my
pretty crazy.
goodness.
I know.
Wow. Okay. And how did you select all these subjects?
Okay, so I think for most of these subjects, they were a natural progression. Like English, you sort of do English in high school. Methods, sort of, if you're good at maths, you kind of just do methods and spec, and that was natural. Chemistry, because of medicine. The ones that were a bit odd were English language and Latin. Um,
Yeah.
so Latin, my dad was actually looking at the subject, and he's like, "Oh, kids who like do well in this also do well in BCE, and it's a good subject." So over the year 9 to year 10 holidays, I sort of learnt what everyone else had learned in year 9 because they started a year early, and then I caught up on that, and I was like, "This is a good subject. I'll run with it." And with English language, that was because in year 12 you have to pick another subject. So I
Yep.
did two, three, fours in year 11, and the school makes us do five in year 12, regardless of whether you did two. And this was before I
Ah.
had decided to repeat methods. So I picked English language, and yeah, my special tutor recommended English language to me. I had no clue what it was. I thought it was I like made fun of it when I heard of it in year 11, but I went with it, and it ended up doing well. Yeah.
There you go. So this is crazy. You had two languages. You had, well, you did, well, three maths because you repeated methods. And then you did one science and you did two Englishes. This is crazy.
Thank you. As a good way,
Wow.
hopefully. Crazy in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you've been able to stretch your brain across so many different areas of study, which has been great.
Yeah, that's definitely like a bit something I miss a little bit in uni. Being able to do so many variety of subjects that don't necessarily help me in the future, but they're just good to train my brain.
Yeah, exactly. And so did you feel any pressure to do well and achieve a high ATAR?
I think like there's like subtle pressure a little bit because people know want know that you can do well, and they might make a little joke about that in the classroom and stuff like that. But I didn't really feel pressure that much apart from one point, which was fairly close to exams. I thought these are coming, pretty quickly, and I'm not entirely prepared yet. But apart from that, I kind of focused on what I needed to do, and it wasn't like I was doing poorly in my stacks, so I knew I just had to continue working hard.
Yeah, absolutely. What about any pressure from friends, family, or even yourself?
I had pressure on myself. It wasn't actually getting that up enough. I wanted to get the highest score in like the state, and that was a bit of pressure there, I guess, because I knew there were a lot of smart people who were probably doing the same high scaling subject as me who could do well as well. From family, like they just wanted me to do well, and they knew I could do something, so they would like be upset if I didn't do that. So it wasn't like pressure to overperform. It was just pressure to not disappoint myself.
Yeah, totally fair enough. A lot of students listening are high achievers just like yourself. Do you give any advice on how they can manage pressure, whether it is from themselves or maybe from friends or family?
Yeah, I think it's definitely important to first recognize whether it's like good pressure or bad pressure. Sometimes it gets a bit toxic and you try and stay away from that. But in general, I think just focus on yourself and like doing what you feel you need to work on for the next SAC, for the next exam. I think when you start thinking too much about like the hype and how like other people are thinking you'll do well and you think you'll do well, you start, I think, losing yourself a little bit. And that's when I found myself in the past doing poorly.
Yeah, good advice. And so, your school, I understand, is a very high performing school. Do you feel like your environment within the classroom was really competitive, or do you find it was collaborative? Did the competition help you achieve your goals? What was your experience like?
The competitiveness ranged between subjects. Like for example, English, we had 9 classes and it was pretty spread out. Like the
Mm.
high achieving kids were pretty spread out throughout, and that was quite nice. I liked interacting with different kids, hearing their opinions and stuff. Certain subjects were competitive and like specialist maths, Latin a little bit, and yeah, that's I guess the nature of the school. Like it's a lot of smart kids there, and I think it was a good thing. Once again, in year 11, I don't think I handled it that healthily. But in year 12, I think even the kids who were a bit hyper competitive in year 11 sort of recognized that it's much better and just easier if we all work together. And I think particularly for Latin, we had a really close group because it was one class from them, year 9 to year 12. I joined in year 10, so year 10 to year 12. And we would help each other a lot and joke even though it was kind of competitive as well.
That's so true. It's better to be collaborative because at the end of the day, it's you're going in kind of as a team, as a whole school. The rankings don't really matter.
Yeah.
Cool. And so let's talk about emotions because it is a roller coaster VCE, and it's really easy for students to get stressed or anxious, especially before a SAC. What advice do you have for managing this?
Managing stress right before a sack. I think the best way to eliminate stress, I've always thought, is just to like work, is to find like what you're worried about because usually people are worried about something, like I might forget a quote or there's this part in the book that I haven't analyzed yet, and it might come up. So I think just working on that really helps to a large degree. But apart from that, I know a lot of people get like jitters right before the sack regardless. And that's a bit harder. I feel like you just need to put yourself in lots of those environments, and that will hopefully help. Or sometimes people like rituals, or like chatting to their friends beforehand, like little habits like that might help ease their nerves.
Totally fair enough. And what about the whole mental preparation? Did you participate in any positive self-talk? So I know VC is not just like academic, but it's also just like mental, emotional battle. What do
Yeah,
you
it's
think about
definitely
that?
a mental and emotional battle as well. I think it's a good idea. I didn't actually have a certified like ritual or things I do before a sack, but I did self-talk sometimes, and I think it boosted confidence. I remember my English teacher said, which was really useful to me, that like in the English exam, like the good students like just do well, but like the really good students enjoy the exam when they do it, and I think that was pretty important. Like you've done all the preparation you can, and there's no point like thinking about what more you can do. So may as well just be confident, and if you do badly, you do badly, but you just go in there confident. Yeah.
Exactly. I actually got something to add, and this is what one of my coach says. So it's like you're, you shouldn't be nervous or you shouldn't be stressed for a competition or for a exam, for example. You should be excited because it's your chance to show, hey, like I've prepared so hard and like this is what I can do. It's a way to showcase what you truly are capable of.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I saw you do gymnastics or something, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's it. And so, okay, have you ever had a bad sack and how did you manage these emotions and bounce back?
So with bad sack, I think two particular sacks stand out at me. One was the first English sack ever, which was the creative sack, and I
Yep.
scored a 28 out of 30 for that, which is like, it's not meant to be a sack. You're meant to do like, it's meant to be a decent sack that you're doing. And the second one was Latin. So Latin, the rank one didn't drop a mark, and I dropped 1 mark early on in the year in the second sack, I think, which was like an unseen where you translate something.
Okay, yep.
So the way I managed the English one was I sort of zoomed my teacher because I felt a bit like the feedback was a bit odd. So I zoomed my teacher about it, and she just really calmed me down and gave me a pep talk. She's like, "You just gotta move on and say like we'll just smash out the next sacks," and which I really appreciated her doing. So she was also the same one who gave me that advice for the end of year exam as well. And for the Latin exam, I don't know, I just really focused myself afterwards and focused on the next sacks and made sure I didn't have any holes in my preparation. And that like redirecting my energy really helped me overcome that those negative feelings from that sack.
Absolutely. Great advice to be like, yes, we can get upset, locate where our issues are, where our holes in our knowledge is, and then move on to the next one. We can't spend too long worrying about it.
Yeah, definitely.
And so, okay, let's talk about some of your study tips and techniques because I understand that you had such a big range and you would study differently for English as you would for maths, as you would for languages. So, what worked best for you in terms of learning the content?
Yeah, I think first thing is to be flexible with different parts of a subject and with different subjects. I think some people might be over focused on having like one set of collated notes and just I think being too perfectionist about those. I'll go through the subjects then. So
Yeah.
with English, I would spend a lot of time writing my practice essays because I feel like they're the best practice you can, and you get the teacher's feedback regardless of yeah, you just get the teacher's feedback. So I'd spend a lot of time writing those, exploring parts of the book, and I felt that that was the best way for me to learn the book rather than making like a list of themes or whatever. And once it got closer to the sack, I would plan out different topics and allocate it under themes then, so all the moments I know, and I think that helped a lot in preparation. I'll go through the main ones. So methods and spec, math subjects in general, I think practice questions are really important. Sometimes I would write out things I don't understand. Like if there was a list of antiderivatives or something, I might write them out. Or so I might write them out just so I have a good recollection of that. But I didn't have like a full note set. And then I just focus on applying them to questions. Oh, and one more, sciences, I guess. Chemistry. I think for sciences, it's good probably to have a set of notes because it's like bio or chemistry. You have a lot of content, and it's probably good that you can look back on later in the year as well.
Absolutely. What about languages? Because you did too.
Oh yeah, Chinese and Latin were quite different, honestly. I don't know if anyone listening has done Latin, but yeah, it's very different to other languages. With languages, I think it's even more important to be flexible with your approach because you have different aspects. You have oral, you have reading comprehension, writing, all that. with the reading comprehension, I think practice is important. Like there's not much else. You sort of just learn how to not miss stuff with the questions, but also not to like spend too much time on each question, being like too perfectionist about it. Writing, I think, learning good phrases and being able to plan out different topics because they often test how original your ideas are. And listening, listening is also a lot of practice as well. And with the oral, definitely high stress situations, more so than like even an exam, written exam. I think oral is very intimidating because of how spontaneous it is. You can't like take time to think. Which is why I think putting yourself in situations where you're very stressed helps prepare.
Yeah. Okay. Some good advice. Now, you've taken on such a big load, some really hard subjects. How did you balance that and all the extracurricular that you did at school?
Okay. I guess this is probably a bit more of a year 11 question because year 12 we were in lockdown the whole time.
Oh, true. We will talk about lockdown a bit later.
Sure. So in year 11 with extracurriculars, I think I wasn't involved in that many extracurriculars. Sort of public speaking and swimming, they have their natural course. So public speaking, I think, was around term 3, peaks a little bit. Swimming was just end of term 4, term 1. So they were, I think, fun. I just did them and I really enjoyed them as well. In year 12 with extracurriculars, I was vice captain of my school. So I had to help with some like administrative stuff, make some speeches, all that kind of thing. And once again, the workload was reduced a lot as well because of COVID.
Oh, yeah, totally fair enough. Okay, I've got some controversial topics and I'd love your opinion. What's your opinion on discussing answers after a sack?
Oh, okay. Yeah, this is a good one. Answers after the sack. I think it depends on who you are. You really have to go through it. I think honestly for most people, I think they just can't help but compare answers from my experience. Even if you say you won't, you end up doing it.
Yep.
So I think just do it often and a lot. So then you sort of get used to it. You get used to the ups and the downs. So that when you get to your end of your exam, when you compare answers, you're not suddenly like shocked when you do badly because you've sort of experienced that when you did sacks.
Yep.
So I think if you're going to compare answers, just commit to it and do it so you get used to it. But if you But if you want to take the alternative route and not compare answers at all, I think that's fine as well. I think this is a very difficult thing to do though.
Yeah, totally. It's inevitable because everyone gets so worked up after it. And it's like, okay, what did you get for question 3? I got -4. And they're like, oh, well, I got, I don't know, banana or whatever. You've seen that meme where everyone gets different stuff. So yeah, it's hard not to. Okay, my next thing is, all right, quality versus quantity. And I know you did touch on this for your English-based subjects. Did this vary as well for, say, quality versus quality? Can't even say it. Quality versus quantity for math subjects or chemistry exam practice? What's your opinion?
I definitely say quality is always better than quantity for any type of exam because especially for, I guess most kids, they would get like quite a few questions wrong. Like you wouldn't get full marks for the practice stacks you do. And it's much more worthwhile seeing what you got wrong and learning from it before moving on to the next stack rather than just smashing through a lot of them, getting all the questions you know right, but getting like the same questions wrong each time. I would say it's probably like of high importance for all the subjects and the differentials is probably not that important between them.
Okay, cool. All right. And I wanted to ask, did you have any non-traditional study tips? So like instead of, going for a walk or making a study plan, did you do anything that was outside of the box?
Yeah, I didn't know this was outside the box, but until some people told me. But I'd always ask myself like, what am I most scared of? Before like, or any like I think I asked myself it daily a lot of the time, and even multiple times a day. It was like I think it just really helped me clarify what I needed to do during the day. So I never really made study plans, but I just asked myself, what am I most nervous about? And if it was a particular part of the English exam, if it was a type of method, special question, so vectors I found pretty hard, then I just go and work on that. And I think that helped ease my nerves a lot as well.
That's really great. Even a really great self-reflective tool to then be able to overcome the challenge, which not a lot of students do. They think, I'm scared of this, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, but like the only way past the fear is probably to do it. But it's hard, I understand, yeah.
Totally. And so let's talk about time management. What subject did you prioritize? Because I understand English is in our top 4, or did you prioritize the subject for prerequisite for uni courses? What was your mentality?
Okay, so I didn't prioritize the uni rec ones because the requirement for me was like I could pass the requirement. I knew I
Yep.
could pass the requirement. I didn't intentionally think about what I had to spend more time in. Um, it sort of happened naturally. So for me, English just took more time because like running the essay takes a while.
Of course.
Yeah, I know. Practicing the essay takes a while as well. So that took a lot of time. Also, Latin took up a lot of time as well because we got daily homework. It was the only subject where I basically got daily homework because we have
Wow.
to translate lines and learn their like techniques and stuff every day for most of the year. So like when I got home, that would take a solid like 45 minutes to an hour as well.
Wow. Fair enough. And like you said, it's different for each subject, different for each individual too.
Yeah,
Okay. And so let's talk about COVID. You completed year 12 in a crazy year, a global pandemic year. Everything was disrupted. You were online. Tell me about your online experience.
sure. My online experience, now that I compare it to uni, was actually pretty like good. I didn't get distracted much, surprisingly, like in class. We didn't use private chat or anything. I don't really know why, but I just never like got to that got to that stage. So I was pretty focused in class and all that. I think what made it difficult was I think it was really easy to let myself go, and I did, especially in like the later half of the lockdown. So I'd like wake up late, I'd have really big meals, I'd eat during class, and that sort of just messed me up. I'd be like a bit tired, and I wasn't really like my studying time just sort of bled through the whole day, which wasn't good. But overall, I think online was good for my learning. Like it's definitely affected a lot of people negatively, but strictly speaking, for like a year 12 student, you just like you're not forced to make the decision between like socials or studying. You're just at home studying, so it's like good in that way, in a sense.
Yeah, absolutely. What advice do you have for this current year 12 cohort? Because again, I don't know if they consider themselves worse. They might think so, but they're going in and out of lockdowns, and it's just they're missing out on formals. They're missing out on like the real year 12 experience, which you did as well. Do you have any advice to give?
Yeah, sure. I guess two pieces of advice. One for just like studying. I recommend really setting aside your study, especially your class time from when you're at home. So when you're in class, like don't have your phone, treat it as like normal class. And I think that will really go a long way. The fact that you just pay attention in class and not distracted. Secondly, I guess psychologically, I think one thing that was a bit different that I think I did compared to other people was that I never thought about lockdown. I never like okay, not in a bad way, but in a way that like I felt that me thinking about it, me guessing how many cases we'd have, me checking the cases every day wouldn't help me at all. And so I never did that. I know kids would like discuss it in class, but by not doing that, I think I could just focus on what I'm doing because you can't control what everyone else is going to do, what the premier is going to do. So I think just focus on doing well so you don't have any particular regrets when you see your exams.
That's actually some great advice because while it is in our face, like we check Instagram and then the case numbers are there, or we turn on the TV or the radio, that's something we can't control. What we can control is how much we study, how much we remember things, how well we do on our SACs or our exams. So you're so right. It's really great to just focus on ourselves in that moment. We can be a bit selfish.
Yeah, I think in lockdown, and our teachers emphasize this a bit as well. It's good to be selfish in terms of like mental health and like I guess taking more care of yourself. I think you can play some more games with your friends. Just watch have like a Netflix. I don't know what it's called, like the party thing.
Netflix
Netflix,
party.
yeah,
Yep.
Netflix party night. Because you kind of need that in lockdown.
Absolutely. Okay. Now, this is another exciting topic, but ATAR reactions. And I know we've all seen those YouTube videos where people do like reactions to their ATARs. Can you talk us through the day that you received yours? What was going through your head? How are you feeling?
Sure. So I guess I actually had an ATO reaction on my YouTube,
Did
but
you? I have to go watch it.
yeah, sure. But it's like very underwhelming. I think it's much better that I talk about it and make it
Okay.
seem more interesting.
Okay.
So I wasn't planning to wake up that early because I just feel like there's no point. I'm just going to sit there and wait. But my mum came upstairs and that woke me up. So I ended up waking up, I think, 50 minutes before the actual ATAR came out. So I went downstairs, sort of just sat there on the sofa. Um, the the emails came out earlier, I think about like significantly earlier than the website that you log into. So my friend actually sent his results into our like this big group chat that we had, and he did exceptionally well. and I was, very happy for him, but I was also a bit like nervous because I don't know if I did that well. And so when it got to 9 o'clock, I went to, what was it, 9 or 7? I don't quite remember. But anyway, I went to sign in and I realized that I'd forgotten what my password was. Like, yeah, so I kept trying to log in and it didn't work. And so I had to go to the main computer, log in, didn't work. And you have to, like, when you get it wrong, you can't do it again. So it
This is
delayed
so
my
stressful
emotions a lot.
already.
Yeah, I know. It probably sounds stressful from the way I'm describing it, but I was just frustrated, and the sort of high I was on was sort of mellowing out. But I figured out that like when I reset it, you needed a special character, and I'd forgotten that because no one puts a special. I don't put special characters in my passwords, but I did for this one. But I forgot you had to have one. So I ended up being able to log it in by resetting my password, and I sort of just flicked to it pretty quickly. I went to my study scores, had a look at like the six subjects, I think, because they only give you your year's one, and then I clicked next and I got my ATAR. And because of all the build up, I wasn't that excited. I told my parents, they were very happy. And then we went out to South Melbourne Market that afternoon, and it was really pretty. Like, it was really sunny, really beautiful. And I think that's when it started to sink in a bit that, I did it, and it's all over and my hard work's paid off.
That's amazing. Did you scream? Were your parents like screaming? Because I know when I got my ATAR, my whole family was like, woo, I'm so excited. Like, it's over. Thank God. Were there any of those emotions?
No, no. I think my parents were a bit emotional. Yeah, they were emotional. I didn't have much of a reaction on my face, but I think it was sort of a happiness that really just got bigger as the day went. It sort of just grew bigger in me. I think the immediacy of it, I didn't realize like that I did this until a bit later in the day.
Totally. And what about your friends? I'm assuming they all did quite well as well. So you were all very happy for each other, right?
Yes, yes. Most of my friends did well. Like, I didn't really ask people that much for their scores, but I know a lot of my friends did well because some of my friends were sort of in that top bracket, so we kind of knew each other. We'd ask each other how we did, and like the people who could have gone 99.95 in particular all got 99.95, so that was a good thing.
Yeah. Wow. Cool story. And now this concludes this first episode of our chat today. We are recording another episode about your first year at Monash studying med. But my final question for this episode is, although you did get a perfect score, if you have let me rephrase. Although you did get a perfect score, if you did have your time again, would you do anything differently?
I'd probably try harder in chemistry. That's what I would like to do.
What was your chemistry? What happened in chemistry? Did you just neglect it?
Yeah, I neglected it a bit because I knew it was definitely going to be my seventh subject. But like my teacher was an amazing teacher. Like, I think he's the best chemistry teacher like anywhere. He was absolutely amazing. And I had him in year 11 and he put in a lot of effort for me as well. So I feel a bit bad that I wasn't able to perform as highly in that subject as I did in others. And in particular, because we had a weekend before the chem exam where I'd finished all my exams. So I think I should have put a little bit more effort there and done better.
Yeah. But hey, look, you're on the other side now. Doesn't matter.
Sure.
Well, thank you for today and thank you for this episode. If anyone is listening and wants to reach out to Darren, where can we find you on socials?
Sure. So I guess I have most of the socials. If you search on my name, it'll probably come up. My YouTube channel is Darren Tan, and underneath that, you have my email and my Instagram. So any of those platforms are fine.
Perfect. And I'll link all of these in the show notes as well. Thanks, Darren.
No worries. Thank you, Mia.